You may know her as the voice of Tachibana Arisu from the Idolmaster Cinderella Girls, but some say this seiyuu is an actual Cinderella girl herself.
もっと前向きにこれがいけないんです。そうなんです。これがいけない。私はこれがいけないんで。
Why? Well, stick around to find out. In this episode of Otaku Files, we take a look at Sato Amina. Most of us outside of Japan may not be aware of some of the more interesting personalities within the Japanese otaku landscape, so I thought I'd do a little video series and try to shed some light on these individuals. This is Otaku Files. Yes, once again we're going back to AKB48, an idol group whose members have become somewhat popular on my channel. Although our AKB journey may soon be coming to an end, there was one former member's story that I apparently needed to talk about.
AKB48 の佐藤亜美奈です。
Sato Amina. Active as an AKB48 member for around 7 years, from 2007 to 2014, Amina's time in AKB48 is well known among fans for a particular reason. Because she supposedly never got the push she deserved by management. This is something we'll talk more about later. But not to worry, Amina's story isn't one of tragedy, but of perseverance and ultimately her own success. Amina is from Tokyo. There isn't a ton of info on her early years, but it turns out she was quite involved in the entertainment industry from a very young age. In her 3rd year of elementary school, Amina once took part in a school play. As a result, she thought acting was kind of interesting and ended up joining a kids talent agency and taking some auditions, a few of which it seems she passed, as Amina is said to have appeared in a reenactment drama for the variety show Itsumitemo Harambanjo. That's pretty cool. Although she remained active as a child actress until around her 1st year of middle school, Amina started to feel embarrassed at practicing her lines and found herself unable to take auditions anymore. Oh dear. Amina would then go back to leading an average school life. That was until around her 2nd year of high school when she would come across something that would end up changing her life forever. The idol group AKB48. She instantly became a fan and would even start regularly going to the AKB48 theatre. Apparently, Amina would also get to know some of the other fans at the theatre and through them would get to learn about AKB's 4th generation audition. Imagining that she herself might get to dress in those same uniforms and dance and sing to these amazing songs, Amina decided to go for it. And of course, in the end, she managed to pass. She would start off as a kenkyusei, aka a trainee. But according to some sources, her mother apparently wasn't all for it, being pretty concerned about her studies, which honestly does make sense. Regardless, Amina already decided that she was going to be a member of her favorite idol group, and nothing was going to stop her. She would make her stage debut in July of 2007. However, once she entered AKB48, Amina really didn't have much time for school, with all the lessons she needed to take and needing to show up for performances, so she would end up transferring to a correspondence high school. Apparently, she even paid her own school fees by taking up a part-time job. When on earth did she have time for sleep? After around a year as a kenkyusei, Amina would become a full-fledged member, joining Team A. However, it seems there were some fans who weren't actually happy with her joining. Why? Because of the fact that she was a fan herself. In fact, Amina says there was a lot of negativity in regards to her joining in places like the anonymous messaging forum 2chan. This obviously sounds pretty weird now, but my guess is at that time, a fan aka otaku becoming a member somehow seemed to ruin the quote-unquote purity of the group. Or whatever. Amina joined when AKB were still kind of small, which might be why some fans exhibited gatekeeping behavior. In any case, thankfully that's no longer a thing.
頑張りたいと思います。先は長いけど頑張ります。
And despite all that, Amina actually turned out to be quite popular. So much so that she managed to come in at 8th in the first ever Senbatsu election. I've talked about the Senbatsu election in a previous video, but to keep it short, it's an annual event where fans get to vote for their favorite members from AKB48 as well as their sister groups. This also gets to determine the members that will sing on one of the group's singles. Amina's ranking actually came in as quite a shock. In fact, that's what fans would come to call it, the Amina Shoku. During earlier announcements leading up to the final result, Amina had been placed at 15th and then at 18th, going from 18th to 8th. That's pretty wild. For a member who didn't get as much exposure outside of the theatre to get a higher ranking than even Kashiwagi Yuki, who I have covered in a previous video, was something no one expected. This was it for her, right? Her time to shine. At least that's what you might think anyway. Amina was selected for the single Iwake Maybe, but within the music video, fans noticed that she was hardly shown at all, that even members that ranked lower than her got more time on screen than she did. If you were one of the fans that voted for her and pushed her to 8th place, this probably didn't make you very happy. Unfortunately though, the overall theme of Amina's career in AKB48 would be pretty much this. Almost no exposure, relatively strong fan support, but no push to be anything else than a member on the sidelines. Although we would see Amina again within the rankings of the Senbatsu election, she would never get as high as 8th again. She would get selected a couple of more times to sing on the A side of singles, but as you could guess, her treatment didn't differ that much from the time of Iwake Maybe. Fans have speculated as to the reason why Amina was treated this way despite her support, that perhaps it had to do with the perception that she wasn't really motivated enough and that it showed in other areas, that she had fulfilled her goal of being an AKB48 member and showed no other particular ambitions within the group. Now apparently in her old blog, Amina wrote that she was the type to feel down pretty easily, and that was something that would always show up within her attitude or face, which caused her fans to always worry about her. Unfortunately this blog no longer exists, so I can't confirm if she really wrote this, but if true, it might be connected as to why management decided not to promote her as much. Regardless, I don't think motivation was ever the problem. I mean, she was in the group for over 6 years. So as we all know, Amina would end up graduating from AKB48, saying that she wanted to go the voice actress aka Seiyu route. Like I mentioned before, being in AKB48 was her dream. So what exactly brought this on? Well, first of all, Amina actually started voice acting while still in AKB48. Back in 2009, she voiced a character named Pyoko in the anime adaptation of Usaru-san. She wouldn't get a ton of voice acting gigs, and most of them wouldn't be major roles, but in 2012, she would get chosen to voice one of the main characters, Ichijo Yuka, in the sci-fi musical comedy anime AKB0048, which yes, is based on AKB48. This also wasn't an easy role to get, as Amina needed to go through an audition going up against not only the other members of AKB48, but their sister groups too, totaling 200 members. Amina says that within AKB, thanks to all the lessons she took, she managed to dance and sing to a level that she was fairly satisfied with, but voice acting on the other hand was a real challenge for her. After spending so many years in AKB48, she did feel like her dream had been fulfilled. However, Amina came to understand she wasn't completely comfortable being in the group, so she started looking for a new dream. Knowing herself, Amina came to the conclusion that her life would probably be more fun if she aimed for something challenging, and that was of course voice acting. And challenging it certainly was, and in ways that Amina probably never expected. Amina would join a Seiyu talent agency after graduating from AKB48, and one of her first gigs as a pro Seiyu in 2015 was voicing Nashida Oriha, one of the heroines in the anime adaptation of Toriage Ikusu. But also in 2015, we would see Amina take up one of her most notable roles as Tachibana Arisu in the anime adaptation of the Idolmaster Cinderella Girls. This was announced around the end of 2014. Amina was actually a massive Idolmaster fan and had always played the arcade version, so you can just imagine how happy she must have been to get the role. Unfortunately though, some fans of Idolmaster didn't feel the same. Apparently there were those that really hated the fact that Amina was a former AKB48 member. Now honestly, I don't know why that is, so if someone knows, please feel free to tell us more in the comments section below. In any case, it wasn't a completely welcoming environment for Amina at first. Apparently what won fans over was her performance at the Idolmaster Cinderella Girls live tour event called Shindarera no Butoukai. The world of Seiyu isn't exactly an easy place to make a name for yourself, as we all know, but I think it's pretty safe to say that Amina made it. Also, in 2019, Amina announced that she got married. Although there were many comments about her treatment while in AKB48, that certainly seems to be a thing of the past now, as she generally seems much happier. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. A long time coming for many, I finally covered Sato Amina. I understand why a lot of you wanted me to cover her, and I'm certainly glad I did. I don't think I would have known about her if it weren't for you guys, to be honest. So if you do have someone you'd like me to cover, please let me know in the comments section below. Anyway, thanks for watching, take care, stay safe, see you next time.